It's Monday, April 28th.
Innocent lives are gone. People are injured, kids, babies, parents, families.
Tragedy in Vancouver. A suspect is now facing murder charges after a vehicle ran into a Filipino street festival, killing at least 11 people.
We are in incredible pain. The Filipino community will show true resilience.
In the aftermath of this senseless attack, Canada's Filipino community coming together to mourn and support one another.
I keep on thinking about the kids that I met, the joy. I was there literally minutes before this happened.
And a somber final day on the campaign trail. Party leaders changed their schedules, offering condolences in the wake of the Vancouver Festival attack. And today is Election Day. Canadians right across the country will be heading to the polls very soon to cast their ballots. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Oh, what a beautiful shot. We start off this morning with a look at Parliament Hill in our nation's capital. This is courtesy of Parliament Hill webcam. Creative. Depending on what the outcome of today's vote is, we could see some major changes in the House of Commons coming up in the weeks ahead. But right now, welcome to your morning, everybody. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Hey, good morning, Canada. I'm Teddy Wilson.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. Happy Election Day.
Yes.
Yeah, it is Elections Day. The first polls are going to start opening in Newfoundland and Labrador about an hour from now. And a reminder, voting hours are staggered right across the country. So the majority of results are available at approximately the same time. So here's how that works. Polls in Quebec and Ontario will open at 9:30 this morning. Lindsey is stationed at 1 right now. We want to bring her in. Lindsey, good morning to you. Great to have you out, Lindsey.
Yeah, it is great to be out. I'm listening to the birds chirping. They're waking this city up. Good morning to everybody at home. I'm standing in front of Earl Kitchener Elementary School in Hamilton. This is a spot where people will be casting their vote in about 3.5 hours from now. That is when these polls open. So I am in the riding of Hamilton Centre. Voters have a lot on the line in this election, in this riding. A little background. I mean, Hamilton, as we know, is known as Steel Town. This city produces 60% of all Canadian steel. Think about that. 60% of all Canadian steel. Now, as we know, steel has been hit with a 25% tariff by the U.S. Here in Hamilton Centre, in this riding, about a fifth of the population live below the poverty line. This city has the second highest food bank usage in the province of Ontario. Most people in this riding rent their homes. To give you a little section of how people are living here. Now, the challenge for so many families right now comes down to the basics. We're talking about putting food on the table. We are talking about having an affordable place to live. So let's take a look at how that is being reflected in this election. All right, I'm going to show you the riding now. Hamilton Centre has gone to the NDP since the riding boundaried, which was in 2004, but the NDP now neck and neck with the Liberals, according to recent polls. So let's see who's running. NDP candidate Matthew Green is the incumbent in this riding. He is hoping to be re-elected for a third time. He's advocating for funding for new housing and emergency support payments for seniors and people earning a low income. The Liberal candidate, Aslam Rana, says his party will push for federal grants and investments in subsidized housing. Let's talk about the Conservative candidate. Conservative candidate Hayden Lawrence is promising to lower taxes, cut wasteful spending, and increase housing availability. Let's also talk about a big portion of this riding. There are a lot of students here. McMaster University is here. So what are the biggest concerns with students? Well, students say they're worried about jobs, finding a job, affordable homes, climate change, top of the list as well. Hamilton, it is part of the 905, so those are the cities surrounding Toronto. This area is critically important accounting for nearly as many seats as all of Alberta. So think about that. So during the show today, we'll be checking in on the big issues in this riding. We'll be talking to voters about what matters to them the most. But in the meantime, I'm going to send things back to Anne-Marie in studio.
What a great snapshot, Lindsay. Thanks so much. Great to see you out there. We're going to be checking in with Lindsay throughout the morning, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And I want to remind everybody what the election results look like after the last election, back in 2021. The Liberals, led by Justin Trudeau at the time, secured a minority government with 160 seats, just 10 seats shy of a majority. Can't say that 10 times fast. The Conservatives, forming the official opposition, they had 119 seats, and the Bloc won 32. The NDP were at 25, and the Green Party had 2. But those numbers, we know, have since changed. And when Parliament was dissolved on April 15th, the Liberals had 152 seats, the Conservatives 120, the Bloc was sitting at 33, the NDP moved to 24, and the Green, well, they still had 2. And there were also 3 independents and 4 vacancies in the 338-seat House of Commons. But there are some notable changes this time around. 5 ridings have been added because of population increases. That brings everything to a total of 343 ridings. 3 of those new seats are in the province of Alberta. One's out in BC, the other's in Ontario. There's also been some boundary changes that have happened as well. Perhaps they've happened in your riding. So of the 338 old ridings, only 48 boundaries remain unchanged. That is a lot of changes to voting patterns and habits. We're going to see that reflected throughout the day and the evening. The number to remember today, of course, is 172. That's how many seats are needed for any party to form a majority government under these new seat count in the House of Commons. Right now, Teddy has more on today's news.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. So speaking of the election, before you head out to vote today, make sure you bring everything you need to your polling station. Now, if you have your voter information card, bring that card along with acceptable ID, and that would be a driver's license or any other Canadian government-issued document with your photo, name, and current address. Now, if you don't have either of those, you must show 2 other pieces of ID, and those must have both your name and at least one must have your current address. Now, if you don't have either of those, you can still vote. Here's what you'll need to do. Declare your identity and address in writing and have someone who knows you and who is assigned to your polling station vouch for you. To be able to vote, you must be a Canadian citizen who is at least 18 years old. Check your voter information card to find your polling station. And your assigned polling station will be open today for 12 hours. Here's a breakdown based on your time zone in local time. Polls open for Newfoundland and Atlantic time at 8:30 a.m. until 8:30 p.m. If you're in the Eastern time zone, your polling station will open at 9:30 this morning and close at 9:30 p.m. Central time zone polling stations open at 8:30 a.m. until 8:30 p.m., while Mountain time zone polling stations open at 7:30 a.m. And if you're in the Pacific time zone, you can start voting as of 7 a.m. this morning. And it was, of course, a somber final day on the campaign trail as party leaders offered their condolences in the wake of the Vancouver Festival tragedy.
We carry forward the flame of resistance, the strength to stand tall, to protect one another, to never let hate define us.
Families lost a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, a son, or a daughter. Those families are living every family's nightmare.
All Canadians are united with you in mourning the loss of these treasured lives.
Mark Carney offered condolences to the families of the victims. He also attended a vigil near the scene. His campaign canceled large rallies in Calgary and Richmond, British Columbia. Meanwhile, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre started his day speaking to people at a Filipino community church. He later held a rally in Oakville, Ontario, where the crowd marked a moment of silence. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was on the festival grounds Saturday, just shortly before the attack. He canceled multiple campaign events yesterday. Both Green and Bloc Québécois leaders also condemned the attack. Now I'll send things back over to Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Teddy. Well, murder charges have now been laid against a 30-year-old man after that deadly SUV attack at the Filipino Community Festival in Vancouver on Saturday. That attack, we know so far, has killed 11 people and injured more than 20. For a look at the role public safety plays in all of this, we've brought in CTV public safety analyst Chris Lewis this morning. Chris, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You know, I know you watched this as well. Vancouver police called this attack the darkest day in our city's history. What kinds of precautions are usually taken when planning a large event like the Lapu-Lapu Festival? And we know it was a new one, only their second year in operation.
Yeah, Anne-Marie, it's a very difficult situation for police agencies when these big events come. A very extensive risk assessment has to be performed, where they look at the event, the organizers, maybe any political or world events occurring around the specific group of people. What has happened at past events? Who's likely to attend? What's the likelihood of some sort of demonstration or some hate groups involved, etc. And so the acting chief of Vancouver Police explained that very well yesterday in terms of all the steps they went through and determined that last year nothing occurred at this event whatsoever. It was all just as it should be, friendly and a celebration. And they didn't anticipate any problems at all. And then, so of course, they didn't have barricades set up, nor should they, based on the risk assessment that they had in place.
Chris, the alleged perpetrator, we know, had a history of mental health-related interactions. How will that play into the charges? We know that he's been charged so far with 8 counts of second-degree murder. How will that play into this investigation and the charges coming?
Well, I'm sure his defense will be asking for, and so will the Crown, a real psychological assessment to determine whether or not he's fit to stand trial. That's a fairly standard process and not unusual in a horrific case like this. So some of those previous events may have been considered when they made the arrest and laid the charges, but really when it comes down to it, other than the impacts on the trial and the potential applications around it, it shouldn't affect anything from this point on. This is a murder. There's a murder of 11 people and an attempted murder of many others. So let the court process take its course and let those psychological issues play a part in it.
Vancouver's mayor has ordered now a full review of the safety measures that were used in this case. So what will officials be looking for specifically in this review? And appreciating the fact that, police have a difficult job in that it's a street festival, right? It's a celebration, it's a cultural celebration. They don't want to impede that, but how do they hold that balance of keeping things safe while allowing things to flow freely and the public to enjoy themselves?
Well, they have to err on the side of caution based on the risk assessment. And so the review of that will be, what was the risk assessment? What were the real aspects of that were considered? Was the deployment of officers, barricades, or whatever the case may be in accordance with that? We can't harden the entire world, Anne-Marie. We can't make every sidewalk and intersection safe. And so it has to be done with some reasonableness so that people can enjoy the event, as you said, and not be constricted or every child and woman have to go through a metal detector and all the issues that we see in some real high security events. That's not the case in events like this. So that'll all be reviewed to make sure it was reasonable. And based on everything I've heard so far, I'm sure it was.
CTV News public safety analyst Chris Lewis, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.